Warum stört es, oder wie?
Nein, ist okay. Es sieht einfach ein bisschen, also, aber ist kein Problem. Kannst du es
Nein,
lassen?
ich habe das extra jetzt parallel laufen lassen, falls mir der
Ja, ja,
Laptop wieder
das ist gut.
abstürzt.
Ja, ja, lassen wir das ist gut.
Okay,
Wir haben noch 4 Minuten, das ist gut.
okay, gut.
Genau, we are live.
Weil eben das Telefon läuft parallel, oder? Und dann, wenn der Laptop wieder hängen bleibt, dann nachher kann ich aufs Telefon wechseln.
Sehr gut. Voilà.
Also jetzt, ich glaube, so könnte es gehen. Eben, die Mega hat Pfeil, oder? Und nachher haben wir das Problem vom letzten Mal nicht mehr mit dem
Mega, can you
Upload.
make me also co-host that I can share?
All of you can share.
Ah, you made us all co-host. Okay, let me see. Yeah, it works perfect.
Okay.
So I'll just quickly go on the other end and see all the participants if they are coming.
Yeah, we have a bit time so that till they're logged in, it's always like 2-3 minutes. It's good then they miss my part. That's good.
I think today there will be a lot of participants.
I'm not so, no, it doesn't seem so. There are approximately 40, 45 in.
It's wondering me because just in such situation, I would think that there will be a lot of participants today. It's always the same if things are going like this at the moment, you know. Ich habe gerade einen Kunden gefragt, ob es Zeit schon ist, Russland zu kaufen.
Ja, die sind jetzt recht oben runtergekommen. Pi ungefähr von 3, nehme ich an.
Ja, von der Spitze natürlich immens, aber dieses Jahr so, ja, je nach Index, der RDX natürlich, der ist anders gewichtet als die anderen, aber da wo natürlich Spellbank, Gazprom, wo die da gewichtet sind, die also richtig genommen. Ja. Temporär. Ich würde heute eine Wette eingehen, dass Nord Stream 2 auf Eis liegt, aber nicht gecancelt wird.
Ja, könnte ich mir noch vorstellen, weil die ganzen Investments, die da gelaufen sind. Oder?
Ja, erstens das und zweitens eine vierköpfige deutsche Familie, die letztes Jahr 600 Gasrechnung hatte, ist jetzt beim Dreifachen. Ja, das ist, also, müssen wir nicht diskutieren. Das will die Angela nicht zulassen.
Ja, die ist...
Gut, die ist nicht mehr da, oder? Angela?
Angela ist immer da.
Ist immer da.
Angie is always there.
Okay, gut.
Und Gerd natürlich. Und unser Gerd Schröder.
Ja, der Gerd natürlich.
Gerd, genau.
Ja, genau.
Das Strippenzieher, oder?
Ja. Ganz genau, so ist es.
Gut.
Obwohl er ist jetzt ja aktuell recht ruhig, oder? Aber
das wundert mich. Wundert mich extrem.
Ja.
Wundert mich extrem. Gut, man weiß diesen...
Oder was mich total wundert, dass es nicht stärker irgendwie von der Presse jetzt breitgeschlagen wird. Ne? Ja. Da sagt ja niemand was, oder? Das finde ich, finde ich schon recht strange. Ne?
Sehr gute Bemerkung, ja. Wundert mich auch, muss ich sagen. Ja, dass die SPD nicht links und rechts dass er immer noch Mitglied ist, genau. Völlig richtig.
Genau. Also ist schon verrückt.
Ja, wenn wir ehrlich sind, ja, das ist wirklich, ja, stimmt, muss ich zugeben. Ja. Sehr, sehr, sehr spannend, ja. Gut, der Trump hat ja auch gesagt, er kennt Wladimir sehr gut und mit ihm im Weißen Haus wäre es nicht passiert und es wäre nicht passiert. Es wäre nicht.
Aber ist schon Putin schon eine Wahnsinnstaktiker, meine Güte, oder? Das ist
unglaublich.
Irre, ne?
Also nicht, dass ich das lobe und nicht, dass ich das gut finde, aber das, was er durchgezogen hat, also wirklich, also nicht falsch verstehen.
Ja, ich sehe es genau gleich. Also eigentlich Hut ab, oder?
Brillant.
Aber der Westen hat auch jahrelang geschlafen jetzt in dem Thema.
Mhm.
Aber wollen wir eine Sache, und das ist wirklich meine Meinung, und auch wenn ich damit oft und überall anecke, aber wenn ich anfange mit der Wiedervereinigung, mit der NATO-Osterweiterung, und wenn man sich das mal grafisch auf der Karte anschaut, und man sich dann wirklich Polen, Tschechien, Ungarn und dann die ganze Balkan drumherum gekleistert, dann kommen noch die baltischen Länder. Also
klar.
Ja.
Da ist das Problem, ja, richtig.
Wenn wollen wir beginnen, oder? In einer Minute vielleicht sonst.
Ja, ist gut.
Sollten sich die meisten eingeloggt haben.
Also starte ich da nachher auf Präsentation, sodass ich auch bedienen kann, oder?
Also das kann jeder, oder? Also du kannst sharen eigentlich. Okay,
ihr müsst mir einfach sagen, weil ich sie hochlade.
Genau, also zuerst sage ich nur eine Minute oder noch weniger, oder? Und dann Markus und dann...
ja gut, nein, wir können direkt dann nach dir zu Herr Brecht gehen.
Würdest du das bevorzugen? Okay.
Ja, weil dann mache ich nachher, oder?
Okay, das ist auch gut. Das können wir auch machen.
Und vom Zeitlichen her, wenn ich am Schluss noch 20, 25 Minuten habe, dann ist das okay, oder?
Okay.
Ja, also ich gucke da 20 Minuten durch. Oder?
Ja, 20, 25 und dann noch 10 Minuten Fragen, das ist...
Genau.
Gut. Super. Ich glaube, dann starten wir, oder? So, good evening, everybody. We're very happy to have today with us Professor Leo Brecht, and as normal, Markus Käser, and also Mojmir Akif is part, and today's topic is portfolio construction. And I already make, let's say, a short overview what comes next. So next month will be an in-person event, so the first one. So we would be really happy to see you all there. So it's with two wells. The asset manager selection will be the topic, and you're welcome to be there in Zurich from 6 to 8 o'clock. We would be very happy to see you all, and because then we can really exchange also. And yeah, now I hand over to Professor Leo Brecht from Alpora Fund Management. Thanks.
Sure, many thanks, Mark, for the short introduction. I'd like to share the screen. Give me a second. I hope you can see it. And I like to talk over the next couple of hours, no, only 20 or 25 minutes, about the topic invest in innovation. I'm not quite sure if you know the company Alpora. We founded Alpora in 2013, and last September last year we have been acquired by the Serafin Group. Especially by Serafin Asset Management in Germany and Switzerland. And we are, on the one hand, very proud of this acquisition, and on the other hand, it gives us additional power in the market. As you see on the lower side of the slide, we are quite nicely awarded with what we do over the last couple of years with the topic in invest in innovation. And I would like to go a little bit more into the details, what we do, what specifics we have, and what innovation means, and what especially invest in innovation really covers. A little bit of background of myself. I have several hats on my head. First of all, I am still one of the founders of Alpora, as already said, but I'm as well professor at the university in Vaduz in Liechtenstein, and I'm responsible for entrepreneurship and technology with my own chair. And I've experienced also from the consulting area. I've been a partner at Arthur D. Little 12, 15 years ago, and at Anderson until the final close down, maybe you remember, in 2002 with the Enron crisis, where we have been heavily involved. So my field of expertise is, of course, innovation management, a little bit technology management, but I will highlight this also, what the difference is in innovation or more technology funds, especially what we do differently. And other thing, what we do is covered by scientific research. So we have also proven some correlations in this field, but I will highlight this a little bit later. In the meantime, we are quite happy that we founded the very first fund, the Alpora Innovation Europe Fund, in October 2014. And as you see on the right-hand side of the slide, we have a few other funds and a few special mandates. And to sum it up, we have about 500 million assets under management distributed over these funds. But this year, a few additional will come, especially with our new majority shareholder with the Serafin Group. But there's a little bit different topic. Now, I'd like to highlight a little bit the evidence in what we do. And I'd like to go back to a publication from Harvard. That's quite an old publication. It goes back to 2012, December 2012, from Christopher Malloy. And he published an article he called, quite funny, Wall Street Doesn't Understand Innovation. And this is a very complicated study, believe me. And I would not recommend that you read the study because it's 70 pages long and highly mathematical. But it's a longitudinal study over the last, I think, 30 years, covering North American companies. And he has been able to quantify that there's really a correlation between innovation, not very precisely speaking, innovation and share price development. And if you go a little bit more into detail of that study, they say if a company is innovation efficient, whatever that means, I will explain this also in a second. If a company is innovation efficient, then it has better growth rates, it had better margins, the time to product launch is faster than compared to other comparable companies and so on. But this study does not say how you identify these most innovation efficient companies. And that was the point when we jumped in. Going back to 2009, when I've been professor at the University of Ulm in Germany with an own institute, my ambition was really to develop a methodology how to quantify the innovation force of a company. And then we said, oh, Harvard is telling us that there's a correlation between innovation efficiency or innovative companies and the share price. And we already have had the model. And then we said, oh, let's test this model. And we tested tons, believe me, tons of different universes, and we compared it with other indices or comparable indices. And we have been able, between 2009 and 2013, when we made all the tests, that we are really able to beat indices or comparable indices in different universes. And this was the kickoff of our very first product, together with a partner who then finally initiates the fund, and that was the AMG Fondsverwaltung in Zurich. In the meantime, we have a few other customers who set up the different other innovation funds. And it's very important to mention that innovation is not the same as technology. You all know Casey Woods with their ARC innovation products, the ETFs and others. It's not comparable in what Casey does, because our stock selection is completely different. I will explain this in a second. And it's also unique. We have not any competitor is doing some similar things as we do. And our stock selection does not only focus on technology-driven companies like Amazon, Facebook, and these companies, but I will highlight this also a little bit later. the basic question is now, how can we identify these innovation leaders? And this is more or less based on a quant model. And this quant model is unique. And we cover two things. First of all, and that's maybe a little bit theoretical here, but it has a practical implication. First of all, we focus on what we call exploit innovation. Exploit, it means measuring the innovation efficiency of a company with a unique model. I will explain you that model. And now going back to the Harvard publication, if a company is innovation efficient, then it has an effect on the share price and a lot of other effects. This is a little bit backward looking. This exploit innovation is backward looking based on historical data we have. And on the other side, we also look a little bit more into the future, and we call that explore innovation. So we will identify also using big data algorithms, future innovation and technology fields, which we believe a company should focus on. And then in the stock selection approach, we bring both views, of course, together. Now let's focus quickly on this exploit innovation part. And I give you a nice example from a company which is from a pure value investor point of view, maybe not attractive because the PE ratio is quite big, as you all know. But I really like this stock, not only because it produces nice chocolate, but also because Lindt is quite innovative. Now we have to think a little bit about what innovation means in the context of Lindt. And I give you an example. The time to market from a new chocolate creation until you can buy it in any confiserie or in a chocolate shop lasts at Lindt about 8 weeks. And believe me, that's world class. That's really world class. We have other data from comparable chocolate producers who are not able to produce and to launch these new products in such a short time frame. So this has, of course, something to do with innovation efficiency, because they really streamlined their development, market test, market launch processes, which is key if you conquer a new market with a new product. And the example of Lindt also tells us this is a company which is, of course, not a tech company. They are producing these nice Easter bunnies, which we all like and probably will buy in a few weeks when Easter is coming. So this innovation leader, Lindt, or this most innovation efficient company, Lindt, focuses heavily on the innovation processes, not only on the product itself. That's important. Now, some words about innovation. Of course, you all know new product innovations like a new kind of such an Easter bunny, which we can measure, but we also focus on the process innovation, as already explained, focusing on the fuzzy front end of innovation, on the development part, on the market test part, on the product launch part, and then finally also on the whole life cycle of the process. This is process innovation. We also focus on services. These are any additional consulting or deliverables around your physical product. Especially we focus there also on digital services, mainly in the B2B industrial sector, which is very important. And last but not least, but I don't like this word so much, is business model innovation. We are also able to measure or to evaluate the business models of a company. So now the question is, how can we identify now the most innovation efficient companies? And we developed from a mathematical point of view, quite a simple model. And this simple model calculates, you see it on the right side of the slide, a so-called efficient frontier of innovation. What does this mean? You all know the efficient frontier covering risk and return. You know this efficient frontier risk and return portfolio. It's not the same here if you focus on innovation, but what we do is the following. we gather input which a company needs in order to create innovation. For example, R&D spends. For example, the efforts a company has for idea management. For example, the number of cooperations a company has with universities or other third-party research organizations. And on the other side, we focus on the output of innovation. For example, the EBIT a company produces with products not older than 3 or 5 years, the number of patents a company publishes, and so on. And using this, let's say, alternative innovation data, then we are able, using a mathematical formula, to calculate such an efficient frontier of innovation. And we invest in exactly these companies which either lie on this efficient frontier or closely below. For example, if you have a look at this company, this gray company on the right lower side of this chart, this company does not lie on the efficient frontier, but the model says it could reduce the input in order to lie finally on this efficient frontier. So this company is not efficient. And usually, based on the universe you are covering, we have about 30 to 50 innovation efficient companies in a Europe or in a worldwide universe. And we exactly pick out these companies. And this, the most important thing is that this approach works cross industry. So I do not only compare, let's take an automotive example, BMW with VW, for example. I can compare with this efficient frontier an automotive company with a chemical company, or Lind & Sprüngli with the Roche. That's possible. This is a little bit mathematical tricks we apply, but that's always possible. So to make a longer story short, we were not only focusing on technology companies like ARC Innovation is doing. But this, of course, is a little bit backward looking, taking this input-output criteria in order to calculate this efficient frontier. But it's not the big problem, because innovation has a time lag. A time lag means if we invest in innovation, let's say the last 2 to 3 years, then this will have an effect on the EBIT, on the growth in the years to come. Therefore, it's not a problem that you use this data from the last year or the year before the last year. And this has an effect. We have, from a scientific point of view, we have proven that the companies which lie on this efficient frontier of innovation, they have an average better sales growth rate from up to 20% from the top line. They also have an increasing profit margin with more than 4%. And consider the Lind & Sprüngli case, they have, of course, a faster time to market. And if you have a faster time to market, then you have to conquer the market earlier and have a competitive advantage compared to your most important competitors if you are fast in market launch and so on. Then there are a lot of other effects which result from this innovation efficiency. So now, if this efficiency is looking a little bit backward, we have also to be sure that the company is looking a little bit more into the future. And I give you another example from Lind. Maybe you have seen that Lind has patented a technology to print chocolate. Here is a nice 3D printer of chocolate. Now the question is, why is Lind investing in a 3D chocolate printing patent? The question is quite simple. If you could customize a chocolate for example, for the birthday of my wife, and if I'm able to print her name on the chocolate, then you can, of course, charge a higher fee for this chocolate than if the name is not printed on it. So, and probably I would buy a little bit more than only one piece of chocolate for my wife with her name and with a heart or something like that printed on the chocolate. So Lind is also looking in the future what technology enables the company in order to grow even more. And we are doing this also very analytically. What you see here is are different fields, so-called different innovation and technology fields, a company like Lind, which produces these nice chocolate products, should focus on. And we are doing this for each and every portfolio company based on very specific clustering algorithms, analyzing not only patents, that's important, not only patents, but scientific publications. And if you have a close look on these different topics here, for example, topic number 3 is a existing or even future research topic like oil and fat in chocolate. So I would ask Lind, what are you doing in order to reduce fat and oil in chocolate? Because this is a topic which is covered in the scientific community. Or we have, what else? What should I pick out? If you have a look on the right side, number 2, the cacao 3D printing. Here it comes again. I said cacao printing is a future technology field, and then I would ask Lind, what are you doing in this field? And as I already said, Lind has already patented the 3D printing of chocolate. So if we do this big data analytics analysis, then we are also sure that the company is positioning itself on the right future innovation and technology fields. And this analysis, this is done completely unbiased. That's knowledge from science, from published papers. And I could tell you or show you all the different clusters of this technology innovation field for all the companies where we are invested in. And if you approach the companies, we will not only approach the CFO or the CEO, but we talk with the CTO. And we exactly go through these fields of innovation with the CTO or with the head R&D to get some additional insights or to reflect the findings we have. Now, how does our investment process look like? And for example, if we focus on the European universe, the European universe is based on 1,700 plus minus stocks, quoted companies. Then we have a very first criteria where we reduce the number of stocks a little bit based on the amount of R&D, the number of employees a company has, to pull out high valued companies which do not have any profit. This leads, for example, to 600 companies. And then we apply this efficient frontier calculation on these 600 companies. This finally results in a list of the top innovation efficient companies and a little bit the lower innovation efficient companies. Then we focus on the top 60, which either lie on the efficient frontier or closely below. Then we apply our big data algorithm to cover these future innovation and technology fields. And finally, we focus on any fundamental data like liquidity, any stress tests, balance sheet ratios, the usual thing, which then finally leads to these 30 to 40 companies where we finally invest. Summarize a little bit the findings is that our portfolio has several characteristics. One characteristic, for example, is because it's a long-only product, it's not hedged. So if the market goes down, we will go down in the same way. But, and this is also scientifically proven, we have a much, much faster recovery. And if you compare, for example, the recovery in during the start of the COVID crisis in early 2020, our recovery was very, very fast. We also generate outperformance with not more risk than the market has. And also characteristic is that often in our fund, we have M&A candidates or companies which are acquired or sold because they focus on an innovation or technology field which are interesting or where they are or where they have really a leading position. And therefore, this company gets attracted from others. And that's a performance booster. I think that's also clear. That's a nice side effect. So far, we have 4 public products, these Innovation Europe funds, with a little bit different characteristics from a regional point of view and from a market cap point of view. But the selection process is always the same. And here, a short outlook on the performance. These are not the latest dates. Of course, we suffered now in January as everybody suffered. That's clear. But if you focus, for example, here on the Corona crisis, strong recovery. If you focus here a little bit on the fear of the global trade war, we recovered very fast and so on. And we have been able, with our flagship product, to outperform the market continuously, really continuously. Also, one word to mention is that this is not a small or mid-cap stock fund. I think the average market cap is about 10 billion. I'm not quite sure. Would have to check. And as already said, it's not focusing on technology or poor technology company, as the case Lind and Sprüngli told us. By the way, Lind is part of the fund since the very beginning of the fund. We have about, I think, 3 or 4 stocks which are still in the fund since the very start, going back to October 2014. Okay, I think the time is already gone. I hope you got a little bit an impression what we do, also the specifics we have. And we are really happy that we will launch probably 2 additional products this year, despite the market conditions we currently have. But I hope you see a little bit the uniqueness, and we are still unique in the market with this kind of stock selection. Now I'm open for discussion, of course. If you have some, I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Maybe I hand over to Marcos, and then we summarize all the questions together. But thank you so much, Leo. Very impressive what you have reached.
We're also quite happy so far.
Marc-André, would you not like to make the question right now for the presentation?
Yes, 1 second. If there are so far not received any, let me see. I think it's you continue, and then we take
okay.
them. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Or then no. So please continue. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Fine. Also welcome from my side to this roundtable number 5. And actually, when I look back at the previous roundtables, which we had especially in November and December, and I look at the markets, then it's quite interesting. I think many topics we see now in the markets did we cover quite good. When I think at inflation, interest rates, and the central bank actions. For instance, when I see the inflation, this is a little bit higher, but I guess that more or less now we are at the top. And the interest rates hikes by the Fed, we look always strongly at the Fed. Okay, at the moment, there are discussions up to 7-8 rate hikes. I still think we discussed 3 rate hikes. I think now the new situation shows perhaps 4. I don't think we will see more, but okay, at the end of the year we are we know more. And also in regards to tapering and tightening, also tapering takes place already, and in March they are at 0. This is the reduction of the monthly injection of money. And tightening, I think at the moment they discussed it, but I don't still, I really don't see tightening at the moment. The last information on this side is that they just let all the titles they bought at the Fed, they let it run out, and so they reduce really the balance sheet on a very long long-term basis. Additionally, of course, now a big subject at the moment is the Ukraine. Nobody knows what's impacting the markets, but we will see what's coming up, and we, of course, for the market it would be the best when Russia not extends the activities over the 2 regions which they occupied in just recently. In the last roundtable, we uploaded the possible outlook, because in the last roundtable we discussed the outlook 2022, and after the roundtable we updated the file and we uploaded it, so it's available to everybody. And if you are interested, and if you have not been participant last time, have a look at the webpage, and you will find the information there. Now, in the meantime, we also asked you last time to bring in good ideas where we can invest the best, and what we can use to create a kind of a test portfolio or a SAMBA portfolio. And we received a couple of good ideas, and we tried to integrate these these ideas into this newly created SAMBA Flex file. As you remember, we defined that we will make a test portfolio, which we call the SAMBA Flex portfolio, because we don't want to set a clear strategy. So we keep it open if we have 0 or 100% equity in, and we would like to have the portfolio in Swiss francs, the portfolio itself. In the portfolio, of course, we can have ideally 3 currencies. I think with 3 currencies we are okay. This is Swiss franc, euro, and US dollar. Someone asked me who also brought in some ideas for the portfolio, and this person understood that we only would use Swiss franc products. That's not true. Also, the product, the fund, or the ETF, or the equity can be in euro or in US dollar, of course. Now, what we did, perhaps Mega, can you upload the watch list? Yeah, thank you very much. Also, this is the watch list we received. These are the input from your side, and you see we received several information about funds and ETFs. And what we tried now, and just at the bottom we see there are only at the moment 2 equities as a proposal. This is NG. This is an energy company, and further down, can you lift it a little bit up, Mega? Yes, thank you. Sanofi, yeah, exactly. So what we did for the portfolio, we picked some of these proposals and integrated it into the portfolio, in this SAMBA portfolio. And we also brought in some own ideas, which we where we think we had very good results. Now, can you switch to the next, to the PDF? Thank you. Yes, exactly. Now, when we go through this portfolio, then we have the following situation. By the way, you have these charts. You will see 3 files, and you have these files available, and you can open them also. Now, when we go into this, really into this first proposal about this SAMBA flex portfolio, it is based, this is of course a virtual portfolio, but many of the positions which are herein are, for instance, in my investments, really active also, and some are new for me. It's also interesting, as I must say, some of the proposals are really interesting from your side, and this was also the idea, that we start to exchange really on an intensive basis good investment ideas. Now, this portfolio is based on an investment amount of 1 million. So we could have done also 100,000, but I thought I take a clear and gerader Wert, a straight value, and we start to invest the money accordingly. And at the moment, and I must say, this is a test portfolio, and this is just the first proposal. Of course, I would like to get much more feedback from your side, especially on the equity side, because you see here on this screen now, we have only at the moment 1 equity. This is Berkshire Hathaway. This position was really stable also during the last 2 months, and actually very interesting positions within a portfolio. Then what we have, there are ETFs and mutual funds, and the selection at the moment is the following. We have 79% equities and 10% bonds, 5% gold, and there is a 1 money market fund in, just to avoid that the cash is on an account. Of course, this could also be on an account, but you will see. Now we go to this position. Can you lift it up a little bit so that we see the ETFs?
1 second. Can I show like everybody like where you find it also? Mega, can you enable me? I share it that everybody sees it. So it's we have already uploaded on the eTrend platform. So you see here under documents, you see then the SAMBA Flex portfolio.
Oh, okay.
You find all these documents there. And for questions here, ask question to moderator, or you can write to a person here in the participant list. So you can then contact me directly or Marcus for questions. So now I hand over back to you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you for the information. Yeah, exactly. From today, there is a new platform I have seen. Yeah, for the participants. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so as I said, 1 equity is in here. I really expect some good inputs from your side, and the 2 equities I showed you from the watch list now, which are ideas from your side. We will integrate them and reduce some other positions in the portfolio, but much more ideas would be welcome. Now, from the ETF side, I go quickly through these positions. We have a Credit Suisse ETF. This is a global fund, a global ETF with on the ESG norm. from the Leaders Blue line. Then we have, and this is the only bond investment at the moment. This is the Chinese bond in US dollar. Then we have a dividend ETF for the Swiss market. Then we have one of the proposal from the participants, an Indonesian ETF. And then further, we have socially responsible ETF from UBS for Europe. Then the next ETF is the Vanek Gold Miners, also the GDX. This is one of the famous ETFs. Then we have also a high dividend yield ETF from Vanguard. And when we look at these products, especially these high dividend products, they showed quite good results and they were quite stable during these hectic last 2 months. And at the end, that's also a proposal from your side. That's Chinese ETF, and I think this could be interesting because especially the Chinese market had lost a lot, especially last year. So these are the ETFs, and you see the ETFs are nearly 50% of the whole portfolio. Equity at the moment are only 60,000. And on the mutual fund side, here I have to say something. I picked the platform Finanzens CH. The reason is because on this platform, I can select also institutional funds. Actually, I wanted to do this portfolio on Swissquote, but I found out that in Swissquote, I cannot activate the institutional funds, and I would really have institutional funds into this portfolio because, of course, they are much cheaper. And so that's the reason I did it on the platform Finanzen.ch. However, it's not very user-friendly. I cannot make a sort of the funds, and it's you saw in the ETF, bonds and equities are really mixed together, and I cannot make a selection of the product. So if you have a good idea to use another platform where we can really also show the institutional funds, I'm really helpful. Also, I'm really thankful if you could send me good ideas. But for the moment, we let it run as it is. But we are also flexible enough to change if you have a better idea. Now to the funds. We start with the Akatis. This is a global fund. In my opinion, Akatis is a very good fund company, and they showed in the last couple of years very good results, and on a longer term, they beat really the benchmark. Then Alpora, I think I don't have to explain a lot at the moment. Sorry for the red figures here on the right hand side, but I put the positions yesterday, and here something is not correct. I have to check this with Finanzen.ch and to see that how these figures came. This minus 12.6, this is not correct. Also, we use Alpora Innovation Europe for many years, and we are very happy with this product. Then long-term investment fund Classic is from a Zurich boutique, and they are mixed in equities and also invest in commodities. Then another fund with a high dividend in order to stabilize the portfolio. because as I said, high dividend in this unsecure markets, at least they provide a certain stability. Then the next one, as I said, this is a short-term money market, and I put all the cash into this fund. Of course, we could also replace this and just keep the cash on an account, especially when you have in many banks over 100,000 or over 500,000 in cash. It could make sense to invest the money short term, so you don't pay the 0.75 fee for the negative interest rate. Then Quantex Global Value. Quantex is also a very interesting boutique. They are value oriented. In my opinion, they make very good stock picking, and also at the moment have a touch towards commodities, and long term they do very well. And this is a strategy fund. Also here, the equity rate is about 50%. The Quantex multi-asset fund. You see the I is for institutional. Also I picked wherever possible an institutional fund. And this is a mixed fund between equity and commodities. And Sarah Select, this is a proposal from your side. This is small mid-cap Switzerland. And this is also an interesting supplementary product to the ETF high dividend Switzerland. And the last one is Sparinvest from Germany, Global Value, a value fund, also very stable. And in the last 2 months, especially we see value had a very good run. Most of the fund were stable or even gained a little bit on value. The big losses in the last 2 months were really on the growth and especially on the technology funds. Now here we have 450,000, and in total, this is with the equity and with the Berkshire, we come more or less to 1 million. Also, as I said, this is the start portfolio. Please study it and please send in your proposals. I would like to extend the positions on the equities as on the Aktien. I would like to add more equities in it and reduce the ETF or the fund positions. Okay, that's all from my side. You can download everything on your platform, and I would like, when you study these proposals now, which are available, and when you can extend this portfolio with your ideas. Now, open for question then.
Maybe to kickstart, I don't know, Moismir, do you have a question to Leo? From expert to expert?
No, everything clear. It was very impressive.
Markus, you?
Yeah, I asked Leo Brecht just before we started the session, and he answered part of it, because I wanted to know how is the different Alpora to a technology-oriented fund, because technology-oriented funds, they lost approximately 20% in the last 2 months. And how is the situation with Alpora, with the selection process?
Yeah, first of all, of course, we also suffered last month. That's clear. As I already said, it's not hedged, and therefore, if the market is volatile, yeah, we have the same problem. From a selection point of view, we are neither focusing on any technological themes like robotics, AI, platform companies, or something like this. nor do we focus on any pure technology players. We only select the universe, the region, or the companies, the quoted companies in that universe, and then we simply, so to speak, calculate this efficient frontier, and we then finally get a quite good mix of let's say also old-fashioned, so to speak, industrial companies. I've seen Engie is one of your proposals. I think Engie is also part of our fund, or was part of the fund. And at the end, we get quite a good mix or diversification over different industries. And from calculating the portfolio, which we do once a year, only once a year, and then a quarterly rebalancing, we also see that the industry or the sector allocation changes a little bit. I think in our flagship product, we have a little bit an overweight in life science. I remember also in ICT, information communication technology companies, but then also consumer goods and others. So the sector allocation nor the allocation of the countries within that universe is predetermined by ourselves. It's a matter of fact of the model, and we will not change the model.
Okay.
But quite honestly speaking, I always like this sector allocation, which is the result of the efficient frontier, and even the allocation to the countries. If you, for example, know other innovation studies from the WEF, from the World Economic Forum, or from Financial Times and Bloomberg and others, you often get the ranking of the most innovative countries. And of course, Switzerland is on the top, Germany is on the top. From a European point of view, UK as well, and some of the Nordics. Less Spain, Italy, Portugal, Greece, and so on. So even this allocation to the countries, fits quite well to the evaluation of other institutions about the most innovative companies. But they apply a different model, but this fits quite good, I believe. But that's the result of our calculation, and not any, how should I say, any recommendation from ourselves based on the sector or the regional allocation. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then we
thank
have
you.
a question from Patrick Weber regarding the portfolio. So if we don't need to pay too many fees that will eat away our revenue, the portfolio has not much equity over diversification, and how does it look with correlation?
Yeah, exactly. The fees are the reason why we work here at the moment with ETFs, and on the fund side, we picked really if possible, we pick the institutional tranches, and they are usually 0.7, 0.8, and so I think with the funds and with the ETFs, we get the diversification, and we avoid stock picking, and that we pick the wrong equities. Of course, this diversification costs something. That's true. As I said at the beginning, I personally don't like at the moment how the portfolio is. I would like to have much more equities in. For me, ideally, would be about 30 to 40% equities. It can also be on the bond side something, but I think the bond side should be covered with an ETF. But on the equity side, I would say if we end up 1/3 in equity, direct investments, 1/3 in ETF, 1/3 in funds, in mutual funds, if possible, institutional, then I think we have a good allocation. But we can discuss this, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. And then we have another question from Ralf Schläpfer. So he is challenging why is the singularity product has a question mark.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's a big fan of singularity.
Yes, this doesn't mean in the watch list that we don't like singularity. The only thing is I couldn't really analyze it up to now, but I would like to include singularity really for the next time. Singularity will be in, but I'm not sure exactly which font. I had the problem to get all the information. Yeah, it's true. Singularity was also a proposal by one of the participants. Yeah, also it's not lost.
May I ask one more question to Leo, please?
Yes, please.
It's just very shortly. Leo, you told something about hedging, that you are not hedged now and you were suffering the last 2 months. Everyone does. It's not the question. But would you agree with me when we say now it's not the question to hedge right now?
Definitely. You know, I'm not really a fan of hedging, and we discussed it also with our fund partners. Yeah, in detail over the last couple of years and months. So completely agree, and yeah, let it be.
The answer is just impossible in such times, you know, if you're working with leverage and if you go short with leverage again to equities. And
also we have, if I go back to the Brexit discussions, then we have had also some investors that how would this influence our portfolio with the UK companies? And then we said, okay, we are not changing anything. We do it as we have done it before. And from a backward-looking point of view, this was absolutely right. Yeah.
For the last 125 years, correct? But
exactly.
Yes, we hedged last time. Marcus remembers it was in the beginning of Corona, and the first part of the hedging was very extremely successful. And exactly as much the success was, it was destroying for the next hedge round. You know what I mean? So it's totally not the time.
Right.
Okay. I just wondering about your opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Then we have from Alexander Broca, what are performance of the other Alpora funds?
Quite honestly, not that good than the European product. The question is, what are the reasons? They are also good, but not as good as the Alpora one. And the problem is a little bit based on the model we apply with this input and output criteria. Because if you focus on the Alpora Innovation World Big Cap, which is the same procedures, the same model, but the problem is that especially US companies has a lot of share buyback programs running, and this is not yet properly covered in the model. This is not a big deal in Europe, but in US, and this has an effect on the innovation efficiency. But we're gonna change this a little bit. Yeah, maybe that's one of the reasons, but that's definitely one of the reasons. We have tested that last year quite heavily. Yeah. But again, for me, it's an investment for the next 7 to 10 years, and therefore I'm quite confident. And yeah, and of course, I cannot forecast the performance or the recovery after hopefully the crisis we have right now. But from a personal point of view, I'm convinced that we will recover again very fast, or faster than the market. I'm definitely convinced. Because now, if you focus on the Alpora Innovation Europe, the product is 8 years old, and it was not the fact that the market always goes up over these 8 years. We often forget the Chinese trade war and a few other things. And we have definitely proven that the recovery is short. Therefore, I've invested again in the European fund now after this downturn, personally. Yeah. But this should not be a recommendation, of course. Okay.
Yeah, also all the portfolio, what
Also
we have.
our portfolio, yes, big disclaimer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not
Absolutely.
legal, financial advice.
Right.
Only educational purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, good. Yeah, so thank you so much for your time. And yeah, we look forward to meet you all, hopefully in person next time. In March,
Great.
if you can come. Would be great in Zurich with Zwei Wells. And then I wish you all a nice day and thanks for your time and great insights today with Leo Brecht. Thank you so much. And Markus and Moismi, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Okay. Nice day. Bye-bye.